Hello everyone. I'm going to do something very risky now. So I like you all to close your eyes for a minute. I know it's lunchtime and it is risky to ask you all to close your eyes, but it's better than asking you all to close your eyes after lunch. So yeah, close your eyes and stay with me. So imagine a child from a rural town in Tamil Nadu, from a place called Shankaran Kovil, which is nestled near the Western Ghats. So the town is filled with echoes of looms, and we've got a 1,000-year-old temple that is standing watch like a silent guardian. And yes, life is simple, predictable, and yet it's heavy with silence. Imagine this same kid who is enthusiastic, very courageous outside the classroom, but inside the classroom he's very calm and is shocked all the time, sitting in the last bench like the most of us. And whenever any teacher questions us, we just go down like this. And now, imagine another child hundreds of miles away in cities like Coimbatore, Chennai, Madurai, or any other metro cities for that sake, all over the country. So the child debates with confidence, asks questions even if they are comfortable, and challenges the teachers every single day. If we think about it, do we think there is a difference gap in talent? No, there is only difference in opportunity. The schools in rural areas don't have the same opportunity as the schools in cities, and that is what this talk is about. So let me ask you this. What if the small town India does not need our sympathy? What if our small town Indian schools need systems, skills, and a change in mindset? My life started not as an educator, but as a textile engineer, and my life was filled with machines humming, fabrics coming out of those looms, processing, and it was decided mainly by systems and a lot of spreadsheets. And I know you all know that how spreadsheets can take a toll on your mind. But you know, life has a way of calling us back to the place where we are needed. And that is what happened in 2020. And I joined the school that we have been running since 2005. So I'm entering the school with a businessman's mindset, full of thoughts about processes, systems to run the school properly. And as I'm entering into a classroom, the teacher is taking classes and she's teaching something about the refuge situation in Syria and how people are journeying through boats through the Straits to UK and other European countries. And once the class was over, I just asked one question. What do you understand from the story? And that is when I realized that we are teaching the students to answer the questions that are only given in the book and not what they think. That is the problem with our education system. And that is when it struck me, in textiles, when a loom doesn't make fabric properly, we don't fix the yarn, we fix the loom. That's the same case with the education system as well. Our system is broken. It's not our children that are broken. So that is when it started, where I understood that my life is going to be about weaving futures and not about weaving fabrics anymore. So the story continues, and I would like to bring a very important point to the audience. This is not just the story about what is happening in my hometown, which is Shankaran Kovil. This is happening in all the small towns, rural areas, villages across the country. You can see this happening in schools nestled in between coconut groves in Kanyakumari. And you can see the same thing happening in the dusty lanes of Rajasthan and also in between the tea plantations in Assam. In all these places, these kids have a very, very grand dream to succeed in their life, to change the life that their parents have been living. In most of these places, most of the current generation are first generation graduates. And what are we doing for them? That is going to be the main question in the coming years. One important thing in today's education system that is broken to a greater extent is we are still rewarding memorization. But the outside life is not the same. Outside life is all about communication, critical thinking, being courageous, and the ability to work with the team. It just not end there. There are many other things that is important in today's challenging life. But the thing is, it is not a gap of intelligence when we compare between schools in rural areas and cities. It is just a gap of opportunity, and there is no poverty of talent in schools. In rural areas, there is just poverty of belief. We are still not believing that students from rural areas can do it in cities and in other places. We still believe when we think about innovation, when we think about leadership, when we think about social causes, our mind still goes to cities, our mind still goes to Ivy League schools. But what about the students in rural areas? This question keeps popping up again and again, and this shows how much it is important to concentrate on the cities, schools, as well as on the schools in rural areas. But the main challenge here is how we are going to change the belief system in our country. We might think that it needs enormous budgets, massive policy changes to change all of that which is happening in rural schools to bring it to the level of what's happening in city schools. But that is not the case. What we found is we believed that even smallest seeds of changes can bring about a lot of change in the mindset of people, in the mindset of students. What we did was we took 3 important initiatives in the last year to change this scenario. The first one is, instead of bringing sweets, we asked the students to bring something that will journey along with them through their school years. What we did was, instead of balloons, instead of having a big celebration in school, we asked the students to bring a plant or donate a book to our school library. They have this meaning now in coming to school every day. They feel belonged because down the lane when they grow up, they see the same book being read by their friends. Even they might be picking the same book from the library. And when walking to the school, they'll definitely see the trees that they have planted when they were kids. So this is the first thing that we brought. And the second thing is, we gamified English learning. How many of you are from rural areas in Tamil Nadu? Can I see a show of hands? Outside of Coimbatore or outside of big cities? Okay. So, as we have already seen, more than half our population, more than half our children are from rural areas. So what we did was, in order to break the barrier of language, we gamified English learning in our school. We introduced Duolingo to our teachers. We introduced Duolingo to our students. Yes, initially there was a lot of problems and it continued for a while, but then even the teachers started to have courage and it changed our situation. Now, even students, they fight for badges, they fight for streaks along with the teachers, and this is a second change that we brought about. The third one is about the life skills that most of the schools, even in cities, have it as an extracurricular subject or an extracurricular hour. But what we did in our school is we compressed or we put all the life skill education in the schedule. right from grade 1 to grade 12. It is not an extracurricular session, or it is not squeezed into the last session of the timetable, but we have timetabled it in a way that it is given to the students equally throughout the classes during a week, just like any other subject. Because life skills is what is going to give these kids a meaning and the courage to push forward in their life. And we took it a step forward. What we did was we gave agency to our kids, real agency. This happened in February of last year. We had our annual gathering, and right from welcome speech to the last event, it was entirely run by students without any adult supervision or any adult intervention. We were just there as facilitators, and you can see that our grade 1 students who are standing below, they were the ones who welcomed the audience. Yes, you can see that they are wide, like scared on the stage, but yet it was a great event. And this also gave the students an opportunity to believe in themselves. Instead of being followers, they became leaders for that day. And this instilled a great confidence in the students. And I also would like to show a small video of one of our students, because when we started implementing all these things, it didn't end just inside the classroom or on a stage inside our school schedule. Even the parents started taking initiatives, and they started sending us videos of students expressing what they have learned in the school in their own voice. But I have to tell you, this is not going to be a polished voice like you see in city side schools. It's going to be raw, and he's still learning. That is entirely the point that we are trying to make. We are not trying to make perfect candidates out of the students. We are trying to give them voice which they can take forward when they come to a college or when they come to a challenging life in cities and elsewhere.
Bad cholesterol and bad fat. Do not eat junk food. Eat vegetables, fruits like banana, carrot, brinjal, apple.
Yeah, so that's the point I'm trying to make exactly. You can see from the video that his voice is not clear, his pronunciation is not clear, and yet he has the confidence to speak on a video for the entire audience to see. We posted this on YouTube as well. And with all these seeds of changes, we believed that it was not some random acts here and there, or it was not some random steps that we have taken. It turned into a framework for us, which comprised of these three, which is habits and culture, skills and systems, and mindset and vision. When we are talking about habits and culture, these simple habits created identity in the kids, and it helped the kids develop a culture of generosity, a culture of giving forward to the next generation, and that is exactly is what's happening in our school today. And with skills and systems, we all know that it is not easy to develop a skill without a proper system. That is why we have implemented all these seeds of changes right in our daily curriculum. And finally, mindset and vision. These kids in our school, they were thinking that we do not belong on a stage like this. They have this inherent fear that they can't do well in a big city. That is what we wanted to break, and that is what we have been doing. We help these kids turn from, can I do this, into, I can also do this. That is exactly what we did. So, let me end with this. This is how we are redefining education in small town India. And if you are a teacher, go support your kids, give them voice. And if you are a parent, give them the freedom to ask a lot of questions. And if you are working with the community, give them the courage to explore whatever they want to do in life. Because at the end of the day, this is all about rural roots and global mindset. Thank you.